Well, hello friends, and welcome to a very special episode of Cocktails for a Crisis. This is episode number 32. We're going to make a classic cocktail in honor of, well, a couple of classic people. Mostly the second one I'll talk about in a minute. We're going to make the Martini in honor of Mary Ellen Miller, who was WKU's first poet laureate, longtime faculty member, taught there for 53 years. We always got mixed up on how long she was actually there. She died a couple of years ago, and tomorrow is the Mary Ellen and Jim Wayne Miller celebration of writing that I get to participate in, and I'll say more about her in a minute. But first, my first association of the Martini was with my oldest brother, Bill, and there's a great story that Erika and I like to tell about Bill ordering a Martini when we were in Louisiana in graduate school. Three of my brothers were able to come down and visit for a weekend, and so we took them to all of our interesting haunts that we went to. And one of the places we went to was Tabby Thomas's blues club, Tabby's, and it's a dive kind of place. You don't go there for the food and drink; you go there for the music. And it's the kind of place that used Albertsons brand alcohol, like Kroger brand alcohol, if there is such a thing. And so we took Bill in there, and two of my other brothers, David and Tom. Unfortunately, Mike wasn't there. We missed him. And Bill ordered a Martini. And this wonderful woman looked at him and said, "Baby, we don't do that here." So I like telling that story, and I can still hear that woman's voice saying that to my brother Bill, "Baby, we don't do that here." And Bill laughed, as he always does, and I think he ordered a beer. So tonight we'll make the gin Martini for Bill. I did a little research on the Martini, and it really didn't develop the way we know it until the 1940s, the dry Martini. Before that, it was a knockoff of the Manhattan called the Martinez. And instead of having dry vermouth, it had sweet vermouth and it had bitters. And that was it was a knockoff of the Manhattan. So it was very strange. One night I'll try to make the Martinez for you. But tonight we're going to do a gin Martini to kick it off, which you're all familiar with, and it's very easy. There's all this stuff that people talk about. Do you shake it? Do you stir it? The classic way is to stir it. James Bond likes his shaken, but we're going to stir it because I think it's prettier that way, and I like the sound. So we'll fill our mixing glass with some ice here, and you're going to do. You can play around with how much vermouth you put in there, how much gin. I usually do like a 5-to-1 kind of ratio. So we'll put 2.5 ounces of gin. Bill likes sapphire, so we use that. And then we will do a 1/2 ounce of dry vermouth. There you go. And then you stir it in your cocktail mixing glass for about 30 seconds. You stir it for a little while and talk. Another thing that they say is that to chill your Martini glass is a good move to make, to keep it nice and cold. You don't want to use cold spirits. You don't want to chill the gin or the vodka or the vermouth, because then the water, you want a little water in there. You want it to melt a little bit. And if the gin is cold, it won't melt the right way. I think that's probably about 30 seconds. So we'll put this in here. Pour that in there like that. And then I'm going to do a twist. Sometimes Bill has it with a twist. I think he usually has it with olives, which is the way most of us kind of recognize it. But I think a lemon twist is kind of nice. Get that lemon oil going in there. Twist that around. Bloop, like that. Take a look, Erika. That looks pretty good. So here's to you, Billy. I love you. I'd like to make one of these for you in person soon. That's good. Nice and cold. So Mary Ellen Miller, who's one of my dear friends, I talk about her as my work wife and that kind of thing. I knew her for about 5 years, but we were really only close for about 4 years. But we got really close. And like I said, she died a couple of years ago. And we have this big celebration of writing. She started this celebration of writing in honor of her husband, Jim Wayne Miller, who's a famous poet, Appalachian poet, really wonderful poet. The Drier poems is one of his big famous poems. And Mary Ellen put together with a partner an edited collection of Jim Wayne stuff. But she started this celebration in honor of him and to celebrate student writing. And that's what the celebration tomorrow does. And so you'll see in the post an opportunity to attend tomorrow's event via Zoom, and I hope you'll do that. And even more, there's an opportunity to make a contribution. And Erika and I are going to match those contributions up to $500. So you don't have to give $500, but if we can get $500 of all the fans, and that should be easy because there's thousands of you. You know, if you all just put in, $10 or $20, or you can go crazy. We'll go up to $500 to match that. So we could have up to $1,000 to support student writing at WKU if you'll just play along. So look in the post for the link to be able to do that. But Mary Ellen liked vodka martinis, and she would always sneer at me. She sneered at me a lot. Better get the gin flavor out of there. If I ever said, "Do you want a gin or a vodka martini?" She likes the vodka. So it's basically the same deal you did with the gin, except you use vodka instead. And so you're going to use about 2.5 ounces of vodka. And she would have one of these every afternoon. I don't know how she did it. She'd have one of these every afternoon around 4 o'clock. Put about 1/2 ounce of Vermouth. I mean, she was just a great person. I mean, I just still miss her. I think about it all the time. I laughed with her, unlike I laughed with anybody. She had a wicked, mean sense of humor, which I liked. And we could say wicked and mean things to each other. And we knew that neither one of us would take it personally, and we would just crack each other up. So I really miss her. And I hope you'll be able to show up tomorrow for the event and support student writing. Joy Priest is the featured poet that's going to be there, and she'll read some of her stuff, and she's outstanding. And I hope you'll kick in a few bucks to support this thing. So you'll just put Cocktails for a Crisis in the additional info line when you make the contribution, and then I'll tally all those up, and then we'll make our gift. So this is vodka. I'm using Tito's. Oops, I almost blew it. And then we'll put an olive in there. There you go. Oh, now that is a pretty drink. It's a classic, just like Mary Ellen was a classic. And so here's to Mary Ellen Miller. Here's to all the wonderful work she and Jim did to support poetry and writing in Kentucky and in the region, and all the work they did to support students. And here is to all of you. Cheers.